Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into what is honestly one of the most mind-blowing journeys imaginable. And we aren't launching into deep space. We're actually exploring the space right between our own years. We're tackling one of the most profound questions in modern science. Can a computer completely simulate a human brain? It's this absolutely awe-inspiring quest to turn biological minds into digital universes, literally taking us from the microscopic wiring of single cells all the way up to massive building-sized supercomputers.
Now, what's really interesting about this number right here is that 150 million represents the exact amount of synapses, those individual connections packed inside a piece of human brain tissue no bigger than a single grain of sand, 1 cubic millimeter. Just let that scale sink in for a second. We literally build giant telescopes to peer at the edge of the universe, but the code of consciousness, the stuff written right inside our own skulls, remains a deep mystery, mainly because of this incredibly astronomical density.
So, to see just how close we are to building a true digital brain, here's our roadmap for today. First, mapping the digital mind. 2, a cubic millimeter of brain. 3, scaling to 86 billion. 4, biology beyond the wiring. 5, the 20-watt miracle. And finally, number 6, the limits of simulation.
Okay, let's dive into section 1, mapping the digital mind from worms to fruit flies.
Because human brains are just so densely packed, researchers had to start small, like really small. The first massive milestone was actually the C. elegans roundworm, which has exactly 302 neurons. Scientists used neural networks to simulate this worm's nervous system, and they replicated its crawling and sensory behaviors with incredible fidelity. It was absolute proof that even the simplest biological minds can be digitized. And from there, the tech just exploded. Projects like Flyware successfully mapped out the entire central brain of an adult fruit fly, or Drosophila, capturing about 130,000 neurons. We literally have models now that can predict exactly how a fly will react to tastes or stimuli based entirely on its digital wiring diagram. And the scale just keeps growing. Using AI models like ZapBrunch, scientists are looking directly at 3D volumetric videos to record the activity of over 70,000 neurons in a living zebrafish. They're actually forecasting its whole brain neural activity.
Moving right along to section 2, a cubic millimeter of brain, the HO1 project. Those animal models really paved the way for our next massive leap. We're zooming into the nanoscale of human tissue now, thanks to this remarkable collaboration between Harvard and Google called the HO1 project. The researchers took a tiny speck of a human temporal cortex, again, just 1 cubic millimeter of structurally normal tissue from a surgery, and what they found inside the speck, it's completely rewriting textbooks. It isn't just a random tangled web in there, it's a deliberate planetary-scale ecosystem. They counted over 57,000 individual cells, and surprisingly, they discovered that glial support cells, not the neurons, are actually the most common, outnumbering neurons 2 to 1. Deeper down, in layer 6 of the cortex, they found these bizarre structures they called compass neurons. They form perfectly mirrored groups with these giant branches pointing in opposite directions. But maybe the most profound discovery was finding these rare, incredibly powerful superconnections. See, most neurons connect with just 1 or 2 synapses, right? But here, researchers found a single axon reaching out to make 53 separate connections to 1 single partner neuron. The odds of that happening by chance are basically 0. The brain is forging deliberate superpowered highways.
To capture all this unimaginable complexity, the data footprint is just mind-blowing. Storing the digital map for this one tiny grain of sand-sized piece of tissue requires 1.4 petabytes of data. To put that into perspective, 1 petabyte is 1,000 terabytes. That's enough storage to hold over 3 years of continuous 24/7 high-definition video. And the best part about all of this? The Harvard and Google team made this massive dataset completely free and available for anyone in the world to explore online. Now, you might be wondering, how do you actually digitize something like that? Well, first, they sliced that tiny sample into more than 5,000 slivers, with each one thinner than a single wavelength of light. Then, a custom electron microscope took pictures of every single slice, creating millions of raw image tiles. But here's the thing. Humanly tracing 57,000 cells through millions of images would literally take centuries. So, AI became the absolute hero here. They unleashed an algorithm called a flood-filling network. It worked kind of like a digital flood, automatically identifying, aligning, and perfectly tracing every single cell through that maze to stitch together a flawless 3D block. Which brings us to section 3, scaling to 86 billion, the supercomputer challenge. So we've successfully mapped a cubic millimeter, but here's where we hit a monumental wall.
The whole organ. The complete human brain contains roughly 86 billion neurons, along with trillions of synaptic connections. If a single millimeter takes 1.4 petabytes of data, modeling all 86 billion neurons accurately requires computational resources that are pushing the absolute boundaries of modern science. To even attempt this, researchers are having to turn to massive, building-sized supercomputers. Over in Japan, the Fugaku supercomputer successfully ran a digital replica of a mouse brain cortex. It actually modeled individual neurons and allowed different lobes to communicate within a simulated chemical environment. But to reach the human scale, scientists are developing massively parallel approaches. The Leonardo supercomputer in Italy uses 14,000 GPUs, giving it the capacity to simulate a few billion neurons. And the upcoming Jupiter exascale supercomputer in Germany is aiming for unprecedented scale. They'll be assigning hundreds of thousands of neurons to individual GPUs, aiming to manage a staggering 20 billion neurons. Of course, ambition at this scale isn't without its historical hurdles. Back in 2013, the EU Human Brain Project was launched with over €1 billion in funding, with the goal of building a digital human brain over 10 years. However, differing priorities between those wanting to simulate the whole brain and neuroscientists wanting to focus on studying specific biological details led to a deep rift in the scientific community. The project ultimately concluded with mixed results. It produced many reports, but it really demonstrated how incredibly difficult it is to align on the right path forward when it comes to simulation neuroscience. Let's look at Section 4, Biology Beyond the Wiring, More Than Just Electricity.
So, the crucial point here is that mapping the wires, what we call the connectome, is actually just the first step. Because even if we have a perfect map, we're missing some incredibly critical biological layers. You see, a computer processes information mostly sequentially, deterministically through electricity. But the human brain, it's not just an electrical grid, it's a highly dynamic chemical soup. This is called neuromodulation. Hormones, neurotransmitters, and cellular interactions can drastically change how our brain circuits behave in real time. Think about how a sudden rush of adrenaline, or even just your morning cup of coffee, completely changes how you think and react. Simulating these continuous, fluid chemical adaptations using rigid computer code is incredibly difficult.
Furthermore, biological brains are full of what scientists call stochasticity. That essentially means deep, inherent randomness. From the unpredictable release of tiny vesicles at a single synapse to the random binding of chemicals, brain activity is fundamentally noisy. In traditional computers, they really struggle to handle this kind of biological noise, making a true, living simulation much harder than standard, predictable, deterministic calculations. And this stark contrast brilliantly illustrates the difference between our best AI and human biology. Consider a Tesla self-driving car. It uses deep learning neural networks, which are inspired by the brain, to recognize roads and objects. It's an absolutely amazing feat of computation, for sure, but it's highly narrow. A human brain, on the other hand, can process nonlinear information to drive that exact same car, while simultaneously telling a joke to a passenger, recalling a childhood memory, writing poetry in their head, and experiencing complex emotions all at once. AI simulates a tiny subset of functions, not the general, massively parallel versatility of human biology.
Moving on to Section 5, the 20-watt miracle, ultimate energy efficiency.
Perhaps the most staggering difference between computers and brains is what it actually costs to do the work. To simulate even a fraction of a complex brain, an exascale supercomputer requires a physical footprint the size of a football field. It has to be cooled by massive industrial fans, and it consumes megawatts of power, literally enough energy to light up a small city. In stark contrast, the human brain, this absolute miracle of biological evolution that navigates social nuances, forms memories, and powers consciousness, runs entirely on about 20 watts of power. That is the energy equivalent of a single dim light bulb. In the race for processing power per watt, absolutely no silicon chip has even come close to the elegant perfection of the biological mind. And finally, Section 6, the limits of simulation, unanswered questions. This brings us to the ultimate philosophical barrier. As this quote summarizes so beautifully, we have the blueprints for small sections, but we are still learning to write the software of consciousness and biological efficiency. The truth is, science still does not fully understand the exact mechanisms of self-awareness and subjective experience. You can digitally replicate the wiring all you want, but how does that wiring actually generate a subjective feeling, an original thought, or a sense of self? And that leaves us with some incredibly powerful, unanswered questions. If we ever do overcome the technological hurdles and perfectly simulate all 86 billion neurons, will that digital entity actually think? Will it be conscious? Will it suffer? And as we continue to map this incredible frontier, one grain of sand at a time, what beautiful, bizarre, and unimaginable secrets are still hiding in the billions of millimeters of our own minds?